say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Happiness and kindness is a choice. Wake up.
Okay. I'm on Facebook. It's posted. Let me make sure I share this to the group. Yep. You can share it with the group.
Yes, you sure can.
Yeah. My family tree. And then also share it with my page. Check us out. And everything is open. Check us out. All right. Oh, there we go. Yeah, yo, I don't know who that is. Yo. Oh, that's J Love. Why is he coming up Facebook user?
What's going on, J Love?
How you doing, love?
Hey.
Please feel free to share the live. Please feel free to share the live. Like, subscribe, and share, as they would say on YouTube. But most definitely share the live. This is things that people don't want to talk about, brought to you by me, God Level. How y'all doing this evening? Before we get started, allow me to introduce myself. My name is God Level. I am a nurse. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a parent. We're definitely going to hit on that tonight. And I am everything good. John, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
This is John Skywalker, the Slide Talker, lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and I'm a father. So I have this project right here, The Law of Affirmations. I'm going to be releasing that October 31st officially. I kind of wanted to make it more vague, but yeah, we're getting close to it. So on Halloween, this is going to be released. Positive hip hop. Hey, if you're familiar with affirmations, or even if you're not, you should listen to this album. Salute.
Salute. King Newborn, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
Peace. This is King Newborn. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Newborn Everything. And as always, I am.
Diamond, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
I am Sabah Diamin, teacher of African spiritual science, new owner of the Abode of Osar Institute of Personal Excellence. Be looking on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that 2023 launching. And this is just where we take people straight to their excellence, no matter what it is that you're trying to do in life, in your relationships, personal development, what have you. And that's on every level. So let me know. I'm here if you need me. I'm here to serve. Ashe.
That's peace.
That is peace. Tonight's topic is co-parenting. I did a little bit of research and I stuck with the definitions. I'm sure a lot of us can have stories connected to this. I know I do. Speaking to my son last weekend, he was like, he wanted me to make sure that I point out how it affects the children. And there's that delay again. Damn it. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Co-parenting is a post-divorce parenting arrangement in which both parents continue to jointly participate in their children's activities. There are three types of co-parenting: parallel parenting, conflicting co-parenting, and cooperative co-parenting. Parallel parenting is a method of shared parenting in which parents interact as little as possible with each other while maintaining their relationship with their children. This is an effective method when you and your partner are not on the same page. Apparently, 50% of all co parenting is handled this way. I want to say just due to hurt feelings on both sides. Conflicting co parenting, there's a high degree of conflict and little to no cooperation in these relationships. One of both parents utilize this situation to downgrade the other parent. We hear about that all the time. The woman downgrading the man in front of the
Mhm.
children. We have cooperative co-parenting. Conservative parenting is the style used by families in which conflict is low and parents can effectively communicate about their children. Where do we want to start?
Mm. So many hallways we can go down on this one.
Do we
Yeah,
value? Does our culture value co-parenting? Let's start there. Does our culture
ooh,
really value co-parenting? Just really think about the concept of parenting first off, right?
okay,
Parenting refers to our ability, our power to reproduce. Okay. Like,
okay,
all right, you've been reproduced, right? You have been reproduced. You are here because of your parents, right? And it's a phenomenon in and of itself to create and take care of your creation. This is another version of you. You know, your energy combined with another energy to create this. You know, God replicates itself, right? God replicates self. And in that, there is a nurturance, there's a process. Oh, it's not enough, right? This life is going to develop on its own, but there's more that needs to be added to it. That concept right there.
absolutely.
I reproduced myself. And so it should be in my best interest to give that to myself, which has been given to me. And if it hasn't been given to me, to find the resources or tap into the well springs that will allow me to, nurture and formulate this creation, to put other energies in it. You know, it's a seed growing into a plant, growing into a tree. But it makes me wonder sometimes, having that power to reproduce, if we really value parenting, co-parenting. I mean, it seems like we take the power to reproduce. We take it for granted because it's like, all right, boom, you create a child and then you don't want to take care of it. Like there's a desire to not want to fulfill your responsibility or nurture, take care of this, see this process through. Many of us feel that way. Like, oh man, I really don't want to do this. I know I created this. I really don't want to do it though.
Okay. That's
Well,
some. That's some, but that's not all.
Yeah, that's not all,
Yeah.
right? But
that's an aspect, just an aspect of it.
Mhm.
You know, that's an aspect of it.
yeah.
Because we know that the way that the parenting ends up is circumstantial.
Oof.
You know, it's all about the circumstance, right? And a lot of times the circumstance, it in contrast to the emotions that rise up due to the circumstance, then the nurturing of those emotions become more important. They become priority over the need of the child. You know, so basically this is what we're looking at. So this is somebody's feelings are hurt, so now they can use the child as a pawn to hurt the other person for retaliation, resentment. All these things come up in the mix when it comes to these co-parenting situations.
Yeah.
And all I can say is the individuals then are not emotionally strong enough to keep the priority of the child's needs high enough. You know, it become, like in any situation, if you're in a relationship and just because you broke up, if you still have a child, you're still in a relationship. And I'm not talking about obligated to one another, but obligated to one another in partnership for that child, right? So you're still in a relationship. You didn't escape it. It's not done. And I think that's the mentality that we'd have to take. That now all you've done was switch chairs. Now there's a new position. Now there's a new way that you need to address this thing. You know, because the child's needs got to become number one. One thing that I've always said is that my child don't feel the bumps. You got to make sure that no matter how bumpy it gets, but the child does not feel the bumps. You know, so how can you really make that priority? You know, so you know, so those are just another aspect of it.
Oh yeah. When you have, I'm just going to take my situation. Two parents who were still hurt from the broken relationship. The kids were just basically caught in the middle. They were just literally caught in the middle. I up and moved and came home. We were at our divorce. It was agreed that he would keep them for the summer and every other holiday. But him and I want to say this is when we began to actually communicate. Him and I agreed that we would just do Christmas. That way he wouldn't have to drive back and forth because it was a 5-hour drive. And then it would be a longer stay than just coming every other holiday. I was like, how about we just, Christmas and then the summer? Christmas was never a problem. It was the summers. And I'm not going to lie. When he decided to not come, I took them. And I dropped them off at his sister's house and I sent him a text message. And this went on for a couple of summers until he understood that this is your responsibility. I felt, and I hate to have to do that. And it wasn't until he called me, then we start to move forward, the phone call. He was like, I don't know how you do it. It's a lot. I said, it is, but it gets done. So when he made that phone call, that's when we really start to move in the right direction.
So what are you saying was, like, what was it though? Like, what was the actual thing? What made you lower your defenses all of a sudden?
Before you answer that, I would like to say we do not advise nobody to take it upon themselves to apprehend their children without the consent of the other parent. I just want to point that out. You can continue.
Keep in mind, I was still operating from a hurt space, and I wanted
peace and blessings.
Yeah, and I can't stand. And I was dead set on having a little peace and quiet for the summer. And I wanted to make sure that he was still a part of their lives. This is what I told myself. But mainly, I just really wanted the freedom, if I am to be honest. I really just wanted the freedom to just relax that summer. And it took me 2 weeks to realize they were actually gone. Then that's when I would start to get out and do things. But for the first couple of weeks, it was like, okay, I'm waiting to hear someone. I missed them like crazy. And when they came home, we picked right back up where we left off. School, shopping, work, all of that. So yeah, it for the first couple of years, it was tough. Until
so would you say so are you saying it was self-interest?
Self-interest for me, and for him, because you know that this is what you have agreed upon. This is what you said, so you should be preparing for them every summer. I shouldn't have to bring them. I want to say after about 2 or 3 summers, he made sure to be at that door when he said he was going to be there.
Mm.
This is a situation when you both in different states or at least different
Yes.
cities.
Different
Okay.
states, different cities. I left Cincinnati after we broke up, and to come back home to get myself together. And I brought my children with me, and we co-parented. I wouldn't even say it was a co-parent. It was more like I wouldn't say it was co-parenting.
Mm.
I wouldn't.
Question
Go ahead.
to God level.
Let me
Go.
sip. Let me sip. I already know it's going to.
Being the beautiful, intelligent queen that you have become and matured in front of me.
Thank you.
When you look back on it, what solutions would you offer the old version of you?
Patience. 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 That's really all I can say right now.
Mm.
When dealing with that situation, patience with myself, with my children, not putting them in the middle. I didn't talk. Now, one thing I can say is I didn't talk down about him in front of them. How he treated them is what made up their minds about him. Their relationship. I tried to stay out of it, but always the door was always open for him. I never kept them from him. He could have came down once a month and got him if that's how he felt and not do it. Those are your children. Who am I to stand in your way? That door was always open. I've never told him no. And I couldn't understand that. A lot of women break up with me and then they want to keep the children from the man in a way to hurt the man. But my door was wide open. He didn't have to wait for them to be ready when he came. They were all their stuff was ready. Everybody lined up by the door. We waved, I waved, have a good summer. It was, I hate to put it like this, but it was almost like a business transaction. It really was. I didn't give him no drama, no hell. The only thing, just let me know when you touch down. That's it. Because it's a long drive.
Do you think communication on both of y'all part played a significant role in things?
Yes. There was a lack of communication.
Oh, okay.
We were not on the same, we were still hurt. We were still hurt and still attempting to co-parent. We were both still hurt. That went on for a while. Like when he would bring up, how he felt, I knew that he was still hurt. He was still in that space. Even though he was trying to move forward and we were both trying to still co-parenting. We was together for almost 14 years. That's a long time.
So the care was still there. The care was still there. It was just, but it was masked.
Yes.
It was masked with pain, right?
Yeah. We were both
That's deep.
operating out of pain, and the kids got caught up in the middle.
Another reason why it's so important to master self. This is why it's so important. And I know that's when we look in hindsight, and I know it's not easy to keep those things of high priority in consideration with your actions, with your behavior, even though you're hurt. Those hormones or driving forces are very powerful. And
Yeah.
but how do you did any one of you consider how the kids may have felt during this time? How it may have felt like to them, like,
No,
oh, we just not
no.
wanted, or they're
Mm-mm.
trying to pass us out. They're playing ping pong with us,
Mm.
you know.
Mm, self-interest, like John was saying, I wanted my
Hmm.
summers. I'm not gonna lie,
Hmm.
I wanted my summers. I felt like I needed it. I told myself I deserved it. I've been with them all school year. This is what you signed up for. This is what you're supposed to do. And I made it my business to make sure that it got done. Sorry. But that's
Hmm.
the mindset that I had at that time.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
So
that's fair.
if he said he wasn't coming, I didn't fight. I said okay. I took me a nap. I woke up at 12 o'clock, packed the car, and left.
Hmm.
I always took them to someone in his family because I knew where they all lived. I was there for, we was together for that long, so of course. And then I would send him a message. Your children are here. Have a great summer. He would snap and I would ignore, you know. I didn't want to feel like he was getting out of his responsibility. I'm just telling you what my mindset was.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
didn't want to feel like, oh, he's just, no, no. But it wasn't until I got that phone call. Um, we started to move in a different direction.
Hmm.
That's
Yep,
when,
talking definitely helps.
yeah,
That helps.
when
Hmm.
he understood how much it took me being by myself with all of them, you
Mm.
know, that's when he called and he was like, I don't know how you do it. I said, I
So,
do, and it gets done.
so it was
Like,
like the first sign of empathy that you got, the walls came down.
yes,
First sign of empathy.
yeah,
And sometimes that's what it is for a lot of us,
yeah,
right? We feel like the other side doesn't care. They
hmm,
just, oh, yeah.
yeah.
So the first little sign of love, and
I
you're just
love
like,
love,
just a
yeah.
little bit, just a little.
Just a little bit. And it took, and that's when everything changed, you know? He
Hmm.
understood like this is not what I'm doing, it's not easy. You just have them for the summer, but when they come back, I gotta prepare them for school. I have to deal with each and every last one of them on their level. I had to get to know my children all over again because even when we were together, I was kind of sort of the breadwinner. So even me being by myself, I'm still the breadwinner. Um, so yeah, and we had in our little family, we had our little ups and downs, you know. Um, but I wouldn't change. The only thing I would change is oof, patience, more patience. That's it.
Mhm.
Well, well, I have to ask because I wonder how much, because when I listen to your story, beloved, it's um it's one that's pretty common and
Hmm.
It
prevalent,
is
especially throughout uh,
our
our
community.
community, which
Yeah,
is,
it is.
and I'm not saying that the white folks don't deal with this too, but they
Mm-hmm.
do, and other people. But there are certain cultures like Asian cultures who actually, this kind of stuff just won't happen.
Hmm.
Only because of how they value this kind of how
Yeah.
important this is. But they have tighter reins on other aspects of the relationship too. So there's that. But when we look at our culture, and when I say culture, Black Americans, blacks, because it's only here that we call blacks. Um,
Mm.
that
Ooh.
uh, I could show you where it started. But that culture, there is something separate from our journey from Africa that actually influences the way we are towards one another in relationships now. There is and many people will go back throughout those 400 years of slavery, the families being picked apart, being torn apart,
Right.
where by the father being sold off, mother also being carried off, raped, what have you, and Now you got some mulatto children being born within the family, you know, that are the offspring of the slave master and the slave, and then you had the emasculation of the black male, losing the trust of the black woman, not feeling like now the black male can protect me, and all this stuff is going on. And then the children itself. So there's been a lot that's happened. We have like this salad of experiences that destabilized our original African culture, because in Africa, of course, this wouldn't happen. The reason why is because how we valued the carrying on of our seeds. We saw each child as an extension of ourselves. This is how we actually express our immortality, is through our children. You know, so that's still us being carried on. And so there was so we had to make sure that this child is brought up to be functional within the nation, within the society, within the community. So there was always a rites of passage. There was always a passing down of skills and things like that. So there was this function, this different way of functioning that we had with children at that time that wouldn't allow us ever to shirk our responsibilities. Like it's in some parts of Africa, even today, but for surely back in times of antiquity, there was no, this kind of thing did not exist. There was no co-parenting kind of thing. There was, look, this is yours and this is your responsibility accordingly. Even the aunts and uncles got involved in their nieces and nephews' upbringing. You see, even they, so it was a whole village thing. When they say it takes a village to raise, it was a whole village thing, you know. And so what it is that those standards, again, is something that we left across the waters. We left at the gates of that began the transatlantic slave trade. You know, those doors of no return. Say this is the door of no return. It was left there. It wasn't allowed to come across the waters with us, you know. And so so now here it is. And then even from times of slavery, we've been I guess you can say emancipated from slavery for about 157 years. Again, not a long time, not a long time. But here we are now, even in that time, look at what we've had to go through since being allowed to be free from off plantation life, you know, and the struggles that we've had to endure within our families, but also in society itself. You see, so it's a lot. There's been a lot put on us, but I still think that we need to wake up and realize that, but also start to say, okay, let's get our footing. Let's get our footing and take these, you know, and start to decide for ourselves what happens to us in the future. Our future is always based on our kids. And so we keep complaining about, we can look back at Emmett Till, and then we come to today, things are pretty much still the same. Things are still the same. And it has a lot to do because we have not taken a prioritized responsibility for our children on either side. And that really shows in the way that we interact with each other as parents. It really shows that, you know. So we have to make sure that what we do is start to play a more active role. And I ain't talking about putting them off in after school programs, you know, or, you know, sending them to football practice or band or anything like that, or some kind of sports. I'm talking about taking a real live active role in our children's upbringing, the skill transfer, but also making sure that they are placed somewhere, they're functioning somewhere that actually helps out the community at large. You know, like we know we don't have enough scientists. There's not enough Black scientists. You understand that science rules the world?
No.
Science rules the world. We always going to be 5 steps behind if we don't have enough scientists that's on our side. that's advocates for us. It's not going to happen. So this is another thing that we could be raising our children to do. Trust me, we're about the only race that don't do that.
Mm.
Okay. So I would say, just from that perspective, we've got to take a more of an active role in our children's lives, and that itself is going to tell us how we should be interacting with one another, because we prioritize the children's upbringing. All right, I'll wait for feedback on that.
Brother, you know more?
For the most part, I'm listening, taking in knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Appreciate Sabadame. Appreciate God level for sharing. I mean, from my personal worldview and accountability of self, it still comes down to the communication and being humble within the communication, the conversation, because neither one of you are right. Period.
I'm sorry. That's me. Go ahead.
Neither party is exactly right, because the seed that you're bringing forth has never walked this earth before. So there's no 100% way to actually raise that child other than to, like you said before, be participants fully in that child's life. I know for myself, I have not exempt, I have displayed the lack thereof in some cases, being in my children's life. I don't run from that, but I can't say at the same time. I can say I do press the issues to be involved. I do press the issues to some way, somehow communicate or relay that message that I do want to be involved. But I still understand that there's no one way to raise a child, because everybody comes from different backgrounds of being raised. So it's important to take in consideration of another person's viewpoint, no matter the situation. I mean, but we do know sometimes we tend to bear children by people that are just unfit for society, let alone being a parent. And that's because due to the nature of we're trying to have a quote unquote good time. And sometimes, we don't make a proper decision making on who we choose to lay down with. But even with that, I still say that over time, the frontal lobe will develop, maturity will set in if you allow it. If that's what you want to happen, if you want change, you want to be better, and you want to do better, but at the same time, you can't force nobody to see that. You just have to continue to be consistent within what you're trying to do for that child, to be there for the child. I still say communication is a pivoting role in raising children. Like you got to be able to separate reality from fiction. You got to be able to talk. There might be things that I may say that you might not like, and it might be some things that you say that I don't like, but are we able to reach an understanding? And if we can reach an understanding for the betterment of the child, the raising of the child, then that's peace within itself. So I mean, but for the most part, I'm listening, I'm learning, and I'm gonna say again, from my world's view, Brother Diamond, I appreciate your counsel. Master John Skywalker, I appreciate your counsel as well. It's been some things that I shared with both of you, beautiful gentlemen, that helped me, how do I say, steadfast on some things. And it even also made me question myself on certain things. But from both of you gentlemen, all I hear is, like, as long as I stay consistent on who I am, that's about all I can do. If If I stay
Mhm.
consistent on who I am and stay in control of me, that's
That's
all
it.
I can offer. But at the same time, I still acknowledge both of the women that I have children by. I'm appreciative of them being in my children life, and I'm still appreciative this day and time to be able to talk to all three of my babies and hold conversations with them. Some more than the other ones, but at the same time, I'm not giving up and I'm not running away. Again, I'm still of service, and everybody still has room for growth, no matter no matter the situation. Still got room for growth. I'm not trying to be rambling on or whatever, but it still comes down to what's the understanding and how do we come to a solution to, you know what I'm saying, not just be co-parenting, but just to be all around good parents for the child, period.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's that's really important. And using the child as a pawn, I'm not saying my situation, but to use the child as a pawn to control the narrative in your favor is it's not a good look, because you're
Hmm.
actually setting the seed up not just for failure, but probably to perpetuate the way they was raised. They're going to do the same thing for their seed. At the
Hmm.
moment of despair, the moment of it don't look right, it's shaky, it's just gonna go all bad, and that's not the way to do it, because like Brother Diamond said, we came together and we replicated
Mm,
offspring from us. This is both of us mixed together, and voila,
hmm
we have this beautiful creation. It takes the watering and the nurturing from both of us. It's
Hmm.
not your side of the family or you're better than they side of the family or the other parent. No, this comes from both of us. At some point, your DNA is going to pop up in them, is going to be activated, or the other parent's DNA is going to pop up and it's going to be activated. So you got to be like, well, they didn't get it from us, and okay, but if we took the time to build together and come to an understanding when it comes to raising this child, maybe we could have actually set up some provisions to where this particular thing doesn't be activated, and we still have a model citizen to be a product of both of us working together to present to the world. So
Hmm.
I mean, again, I'm still of service and I'm still learning. I'm never ashamed to say I always got room for growth. So
Hmm.
that's my take on it. I'll leave the floor open.
Ashe. Ashe. Did you have something you wanted to add there, Master
Oh,
Skywalker?
yeah, nothing to really add. Nothing to really add. I'm loving everything so far. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's kind of the next transition right there. It seems like we're hinting at it. You know, we're looking at our processes, and I'm not sure if we're all on the same flight, but I would imagine that there's a large population of us who have, went through monogamy, divorce, separation, whatever, and at some point, it's kind of, this question is in your face in so many ways. What does a healthy co-parenting relationship look like? And I'm pretty confident that there are some that don't even care to answer that question or even know what it looked like. Right. So
Hmm.
they don't even know that this is a possible thing. For some, they don't know that's a possibility because they're so consumed with the hurt. And then they also see the hurt coming from the other parent, right? So the battle is still on and the child is still caught up in the crossfires. It's still on the battlefield, sometimes even
Hmm.
weaponized, right? Hey, you be my soldier. And so the parents are
Mhm.
saying, trying to recruit the child, right? Caught up in this war, and the child is just like, how did this happen? I
Right.
mean, this war was here
Hmm.
before I was even born. Dang, right?
Yeah.
So the healthy part, it's very difficult to even arrive to that space when you don't even know if that's a possibility as a parent. And I really commend all the parents out there who have exercised the courage that it takes to acknowledge your contribution to the toxicity of any monogamous relationship, whether it be marriage or not, right? And you conceive this child, and you acknowledge, you accept, because perhaps your personal value is growth. You acknowledge and accept that, oh man, I caused this hurt into this relationship. The reason why she's acting this way towards me is because of how I acted. She perceived me moving this way, right? Right. So
yes.
I'm gonna take that, right?
Guilty.
I'm gonna take responsibility for that, and I'm gonna present this to her, not necessarily for her. Again, that's why I say I think there's some self-interest here. As a father or as a mother, you look within yourself and you realize, yo, I'm not at peace. And it's not really because of this person right here. It's me. I gotta change. So you sit with it long enough, this experience. You sit with it long enough. You're just like, why do they keep doing this to me? Right? Again, it's self-centered. And you arrive to this conclusion that, dang, it was me. This is my part right here. I have to answer for this. If I answer for this, I will be relinquished from these chains of pain associated with this. So boom, you confess up and you make a commitment to be a better you, which ends up being a better parent. And then sometimes, not always, the other parent gets infected with that idea. Well, dang, if they did it, all right, I guess you all right. And then they kind of concede a little bit. And then, it's so small and it's so gradual. It'd be these little small seeds. And so it's kind of like when you got into an argument, when y'all were together, one person's mad at the other and they do this one small thing that kind of is like truce, right? It might have been they fixed you some popcorn or, hey, you want a blanket? Hey, I'm going to the stove. You want some? Right.
You know what image I got in my mind when you're saying that. You know that little meme going around with that baby Yoda, and he's looking mean. He's like, I brought you some food. And it's like, from where? That's the image I get in my mind when you're saying that.
So now I know all of them are not like this. Okay, all of them are not like this. Very like Saba Diamond said, it's very circumstantial, but you have some of those where even if it was like a 2-month thing, y'all were together for 2 months, you had those little moments where you fought and then you made up, and it was in a very weird way, and it was very small and gradual. With co-parenting, it ends up becoming somewhat of a similar evolution, right? It'd be that small little thing, they did this, and then you kind of relax a little bit, and you do this thing, and then they kind of relax a little bit, and they do something, and then next thing you know, you're here now, and you're just like, oh, wow, okay, I guess we can have a conversation now.
Yeah.
And then it happens, and then now both of you are super comfortable. So now the tension just comes down, and it's like, well, shoot, okay, you're capable of talking. I'm capable of talking. Yeah, I'll see you next time. It's just like it unfolds beautifully, but there's still like a wall there, right? So there's sort of a very odd beauty to that. And we have stories about that. One thing that I like about, have y'all seen the Marlon show? Marlon, where the one where he's a co-parent with his ex-wife. They have a kid together. So Marlon Wayans has a show called Marlon. I think it's got like 2 seasons. I really like that.
Oh yeah.
All right. And what I like about it is they capture it when they just broke up and they still have a relationship, and you can just tell, like, dang, all right, are they together or are they not? And they're going through a real thing, a very common issue in the Western world, right? Life after divorce, 2 parents, and it's like you kind of haven't gotten over your significant other, so now you got to see them dating, right? Like now a possible step parent comes in, and now we got this phenomenon where, they have 2 mommies and 2 daddies, and we got to figure that part out too. A child to be lucky to have 4 parents, right? So that's what I really love about that show is he captured something that's very real, and in a way he's also dropping gems. He's giving clues on, hey, this is a common problem we have as co-parents. I'm gonna teach you something real quick. Like he just
Mhm.
throws it out there. I love that. So if y'all haven't seen that, y'all should definitely tune in, especially if
Yeah.
you're co-parents. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why they
Yeah.
canceled it.
You think
Ooh.
so? That's what it is.
No, that's facts.
Mm.
That's facts. I mean, because if you have situations like that,
It does break a
if that become
stereotype.
infectious, there you go. Yeah,
It
if you
breaks a
have things
stereotype.
become infectious like that, to where if we could look at each other and be like, you know what, I don't know where we lost this at, but man, we got to put our differences aside and like really hear what I'm saying. We have
Yeah.
to work together in
Mhm.
harmony for the sake
Cooperation.
of the upbringing of the children. Yeah, and when
Mhm.
you do that, you might actually see that. Well, the problem was one of us maybe matured before the other one in some type of aspect,
Yeah.
but we never did take the time out to see the other person's maturity, because we look at them where we left them and think that
Mm-hmm.
that's still who they are,
Yeah.
and they're not.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And that'd be kind of hard to deal with. And what that is, a significant word, it's called change. We have to
Mm.
allow people to change. We have to allow people to grow and develop into who
Right.
they are supposed to become. It's not up to nobody, including myself, to set a standard on what you can only be, and that's it, and there's no more. No, life is constantly changing, constantly developing, constantly growing.
Yes.
And so as us going from children to preteen to pre-adults to adulthood, period. You
Mhm.
have to allow a person to grow, man. You have to allow a person to grow. And that show, like Master Skywalker stated, it is a beautiful show. And it shows you that our community, and I emphasize our community, our people, can come together and really build something great and something beautiful despite our differences. I don't know. I'm just,
Mm.
No, that's no,
I'm
you're
learning.
right.
I'm
You're
You
learning.
was
right.
right on it.
You
You was right
really
on
were.
it.
You're right on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I
Oftentimes,
think no. Go ahead, beloved.
oftentimes, when when parents are still in that hurtful space, um, you can't even get along with their partner because you're still operating from a place of hurt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I know I didn't. I didn't. And I wouldn't say it's
Mhm.
because I disliked her. I disliked the way that she was with my children.
Mm.
So that's so she um, did that. It wasn't the fact that they were together. Because I was happy for him. I was
What you
genuinely
saying?
happy for him. I was genuinely happy for him when he got with somebody else. I congratulated him. I told him I hope it all works out. Invite me to the wedding. I would dance at your wedding. Um, it was how she treated my children that made me look at her in a different light.
Mhm.
So yeah. But go
Well,
ahead.
what the thing is that parenting actually is one of the things that grow us up. Any type of relationship that we have, right? That's part of our, and, I make a living based on helping people understand their relationships, and that's whether it's
Mm,
with their own parents, whether it's with their siblings, whether it's with their significant other or whoever, right? Even their bosses at work or their friends, right? Relationships um, are this is how they're supposed to grow us. They're supposed to grow us because we're supposed to see something bigger than our individual selves through a relationship. It's our opportunity to acknowledge love. It's our opportunity um, to grow in love and to develop a high level of compassion for something outside of ourselves, right?
mm,
So this actually helps develop that which is within us, that power within us. And so when we look at first of all, in our intimate relationships, if we have failed to do that in our intimate relationships, to actually acknowledge love, and I mean love is always sacrifice, is giving and expecting nothing in return. That's basically what love is to give and expect nothing in return. If both parties are doing that, then nobody's going to be without. Both parties are giving and both parties are receiving. So your job is only to give. That's it. Give, be of service, right? So then if that has failed, and then there's a child that comes in the midst of that, and then now you're in this battle of self glorification, basically, is what it is. You're trying to glorify self, and this child is going to be not just a product of it, but they're going to feel every blow that goes between the parents. They're going to feel all the bumps. And so, but the child is another opportunity to say, hey, here's something bigger than yourself, so you can stop that. So at some point, sometimes people stop it at the birth of a child, to where they say, oh, well, hold on, we got to back up here. We got to take this infant and protect it. And what it really needs protection from is us.
Ooh.
We're the ones that it needs to be protected from. How can I protect my baby from me? How can I do that? And you'd be surprised how many people fail to protect their own babies from themselves.
Yep.
You know, so that's the big thing. So did you want to read Love Sean's comment?
Love Sean, appreciate you.
I just thought that's what you was doing.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You are speaking tonight. I tried to co-parent with my grandson's parents. A very complicated situation. The children are definitely caught in the middle. They are dealing with consequences because their parents absolutely refuse to communicate or cooperate. I want to say communication is key. It is not just from the conversation. It's everything. Your actions is another way of communication. I do understand what Love Shine is speaking about. I can't stress it enough that at some point you have to be able to accept another person's change, allow them to change. You can't force anybody to do anything. You got to ask yourself, if you're forcing somebody to do something, is that really helping? Or is it complicating stuff? You know, and then when you continue, and then when you continue to allow outside forces to get in your business when you're not even in control, like Brother Diamond said, you're not even in control of yourself to the point that you're protecting your children from you first and foremost, because you are very volatile, you know, and man, there is no book to this.
No, it's not.
No book to this. You have to be willing, like Brother Diamond said, you have to be willing to sit down like, yo, hey, look, hey, excuse my French. Hey, I'm a little fucked up. You know my ways better than me. So help me contain who I am, but only bring forth what's necessary for the development and the betterment of this child. That's if you saying you really love your seed as well, my seed. You know, it took us two to develop this, to bring forth this seed. So it's going to take two of us to make sure we further the growth and development of the child after it leaves the womb. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Like, this is a delicate subject.
It is.
And I know in our community, man, I'm trying to stay away from a real deep one here, but
I get it.
I'm going to say, I say this with a lot of love and respect to every woman that may be watching this. For the years to come, that this is going to continue to play until it's like pulled down or whatever the case may be. if you understand that you are in this alone, when do we decide to extend a hand and be like, excuse me, excuse me, need your help over here? And I'm not saying from the point because you feel all the pressure all of a sudden now and the weight is unbearing. And I'm talking about before you even get there. I'm saying acknowledge it, head it off before it even creates a snowball to something that you have no control over no more. We put a lot of blame. We put a lot of blame on the men for what they are not doing, but we don't even understand that we're still creating and perpetuating the same very society that's creating the downfall and demise of our own community. We need the men in the families. I'm not trying to blame nobody. I'm not saying who ain't doing this and who ain't doing that. I'm saying when it's all said and done, are we taking the time out to really see when we look in society? Because we got some real masculine, feminine principles.
That's right.
Out here that speak very, very, very heavily, like they real heavy, but they still want a man to protect them. They still want a man to make sure they are safe. They still want a man to practice chivalry, but yet you don't allow a man to be a man. You don't want a man around. You're constantly trying to tell him what he ain't. It takes both parties, man. It's communication. When do we try to empathize the other one's upbringing as well, the bringing of our own child? Like when do we just win? When do we say enough is enough? If you could look out your window and you be like, man, that's messed up over there. But then, okay, but are you paying attention to you're finna recreate that same scenario? What you're doing is no different than what's going on over there.
That's right.
We need, man. We could talk about statistics on this. And for every Father's Day, for every woman that say Happy Father's Day to me, and yes, I am saying it. And if I get slack on this, oh well. You're not a father. Stop
Come
that,
on.
please.
That's for real.
Stop
That's
that.
real.
You're not a father. There's nothing about you that takes the place of the masculine principle, period. That's not what you was designed for. You're not even designed to be a single parent, so let alone take on the masculine principles and think that you can be the man and be willing to put your life down. Put your life on the line. No questions asked. For the children and the women. We gotta stop this nonsense, man. Like, and I'm at a point where I don't, man, look. I was raised by women. My grandmother and my great-grandmother. Bless my great-grandmother's soul. Much love to my auntie for stepping in when she could, but she had to take her own home front. It ain't nothing like getting in your 20s or your late 20s and you still yearn for the leadership, for the extended hand of another man to show you how to become a man.
That's right. That's right. You speaking right there, King.
Oh, wait a minute. And let's not forget about the little girls. These fathers become their first love. That's who they mimic, who they end up with. Come on now. Don't forget about how powerful their presence is in a home when raising a daughter. So, yeah.
In so many cases, I've found that it was not parenting that men were running from, but it was the tyranny of the parent. That's what they were running from. You know, it was just that toxic to where that's exactly what they were running from, to have some sort of peace. And to deal with the child, I mean, I still got to deal with her. You know, so this is why it's also important, and this is just coming from the man's perspective. Regardless of anything, again, we have to keep the child's needs at priority, and if that means that you've got to stop being who you are at that time, if you got to ignore your own hurt, then it's got to be done like that. That's what's got to be ignored. That's what's got to be acknowledged. So you can actually keep the child's needs above everything else. I am in a situation. My daughter, who just turned 18 this month, her mom, who's my ex-wife. All I can say is the what we have is what I wish on everybody. Okay, that's what I wish on everybody, because we co-parent in such a healthy way. And even ever since our divorce, in fact, I told her, I said, look, if we ever break up, this one's mine. Ain't nobody. She said, I know. So she never thought that to stand in the way. When she needed to come, she actually came to California before I did, and left my daughter with me. So for almost a year, I was a single parent with my daughter and my son. And then my daughter came with her, and then came back to me for another year. And I was still single parent, single father, but never did I say on Mother's Day, hey, I'm the mother and the father. Never said that, you know. But I just did what I did. I had fun. In fact, it was some of the best time in my life, being able to be there with just me and my kids, and it was such a harmonious flow. They learned a lot. We did a lot. We had a lot of fun. Things were going well. I was still staying in Wisconsin at the time, and then even though her mom was here, we were divorced. But when she needed something, I sent it to her, even though my daughter was not here with her. When she needed something, she said, listen, I got to get a hotel for the night. I send her the money. Make sure she's got the money, you know? So because I know that her well-being equates to my daughter's well-being, even though my daughter was with me, you know? So there's a time too, in their chronological age, to where there's a time where in the beginning of a little boy's life, the nourishment of coming from the mother is so essential. And then in the beginning of a little girl's life, that nourishment from her father is so essential.
Yes, it is.
And then they get to a point to where the essentials switch to where, because now the little girl, this is around the 6th grade for both, to where they begin to switch and they need to start learning values as a little girl and as a little boy. And they can only get that from their same-sex parents. You know, they can only get that from them. So then it switches, which is, again, why it's so important. A woman cannot teach a little boy how to be a man. And a man cannot teach a little girl how to be a woman. This is so we need each other when it comes to that. We can't just not fool ourselves and think that we can ever 100% do the task, because we were not meant to be like King Newborn said. Yes, sister, go ahead.
That's the problem. That's the problem right there. We don't think that we need each other. That is the problem. Independent. Come on.
I can do it all by myself.
I can do it all.
That's the message.
That is the message. And that's why so many women are doing it all by themselves.
Here, I want to throw a curveball. I don't mean to cut you off, guys. I'm gonna throw a curveball. I challenge anybody that may be watching this. I even challenge our panel right now. And this might hurt a little bit. Since we are so big on being, independent, first of all, let me just say peace and love for everything that's going to come out of my mouth.
I know.
Since we feel like, we so independent, right? We standing on this. We independent. We independent. We independent. And we put ourselves in positions to where we got our school and we got our degrees, we making our money, and I did it all by myself. Pat, 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 pat. I did it all by myself. Pat, 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 pat. Don't need no man. Okay, that's peace. Now here's the blessings of your peace. How many men that are in jail that come from single parent households? I'll wait. You can look it up.
A lot.
How many men out here either become molested or become the molestor come from single parent household? I'll wait. You can look it up. How many men end up being in gangs because they come from single parent households? You can look it up. How many men end up perpetuating the same thing they was taught from a single parent household? I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't blaming nobody. I'm just saying single parent household.
It's not
Pat,
effective.
pat.
It's not effective when raising children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, man, if the way we already going about doing it ain't working.
Yep.
Pat. Then what we doing then for real? We got all these accolades and things of that nature to say what we did. What I did. It ain't working. It ain't working. Yeah, you're in control, but it's not working. It's not working. You're just perpetuating dysfunction. And at some point, it's going to surface. And then you do this. No. Don't lean back now. Stand up. Pat. Stick your chest out. Chin up. Because you created that. You created that. And I'm not saying nobody is exempt from anything. We are responsible. But you can't run when you all of a sudden it's a problem. And then now they wasn't here to help. They didn't help you say, and you was independent. They didn't help you say Happy Father's Day to me. They didn't. Never mind. I'm just going to say pat.
I love it. Love it.
I think something of interest here, the communication part, right? We say communication is key. In my view, it really is comprehension, but I also understand there's a, receive and send. So it's interesting a lot of the times that we posit that in there as a tip, as a solution, as a variable, right? But it's often something that's streamed over or it's spilled over from the monogamous relationship in the first place. How often do you hear that, people got divorced or people separated because of communication issues? You couldn't communicate as a lover. So does your communication style change as a parent? You're using the same skill set for this. Right. It's a different function, right? So you couldn't communicate as a spouse, as a lover, and then here it is, it's time to parent, and you still can't communicate. So then we say, oh, hey, you need to learn how to communicate. So we're still coming back to the self-improvement problem here. There's quite a few of us that haven't carried that factor, that principle, self-improvement. I'm trying to always improve myself. I'm always seeking to improve myself. I'm always seeking to better myself, right? And so sometimes, probably due to personality traits, personality conflicts, inflated ego, you don't seek to improve your capacity to be a lover, your capacity to be a parent, even though it would be in the best interest of the child, right? Because it does take skill to be a parent, right? Parenting is this coagulation of other skill sets, right? That we typically use in other situations, especially like social situations. All right, hey, can you be empathetic? Are you compassionate? Are you understanding? Patient, right? We use those energies in other relationships. And yet the key relationships that matters the most, parenting relationship, due to pain, some sort of dysfunction, some sort of emotional blockage, you cannot express those qualities, those principles in that relationship in order to achieve this result. For a lot of us, it's unplanned pregnancy, right? Unplanned. And child comes into the world, right? That phenomenon. And we know we're not ready. We're not prepared. We haven't developed the talents and the skill sets. And here it is. What is it called? Kids raising kids. I haven't developed enough so that I can develop this child right here. I'm not even developed. You got some out here that are courageous enough to say, you know what, I'll figure it out. And then you got the others that just cower away from the challenge, right? So we got that phenomenon. But just pointing back to the communication aspect of this, you know, we're not trying to be condescending here, audience members, viewership. We understand that everyone inherits a communication style based off of their experiences and their life circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
But I just want to identify that when we say communication is key, when we're saying you need to communicate with your spouse, or I'm sorry, with your co-parent, right? You might want to look into developing your communication style first, right? And again, there's a lot of self-analysis here. I think it's also likely key ingredient here is we don't treat breakups like critical events. And so sometimes people are so hurt because this is sort of a mental health issue. If you lose your job, right? If you get divorced, if you move to another location, therapists actually deal with those critical events. And yet we only really apply it to marriages. Like there's marital counseling, right? To handle post-divorce, right? All right. You seek out a therapist, a counselor to help you in the transitioning from, you know, a married couple to a single couple. So, hey, we need a mediator here to help us work through these pains, these hurts. But for a lot of us, we just met him 6 months ago and we just broke up because we weren't ready for the relationship. We were too immature for the relationship. It was not sustainable to begin with.
Right.
But there's no healing. There's no, hey, all right, well, hold on. We broke up. Let's go hire John real quick, or Mr. Barry. Let's hire him, Dr. Barry, to help us work through these pieces of baggage right here so that we can transition into this new life experience right here. Nope, it's break up and then figure it out. So everybody's just, right? And add to it, there's no social support in that transition. So the family isn't coming in and coaching and saying, hey, all right, let me help reach out to them and let me be a mediator. Let me help you through this right here. So you truly do feel that illusion of independence. It really starts to sink in because, oh man, I got to figure it out on my own. I need to figure out whether I'm going to be an involved parent or not. For some, that's just an automatic decision. All right. But I wanted to return back to this question right here. What does it look like? What does a healthy co-parenting relationship look like? We know that healthy communication is part of it. You kind of touched on that. What else is there that we're trying to identify? What does it look like?
I wouldn't be able to speak on it.
Understanding, compassion.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what it took. When I had a moment, Derek was more than happy and able to take Brianna for a couple of months while I get myself together. I appreciated that from him deeply. So yeah, definitely good communication and understanding what is the goals moving forward when co-parenting, you know. So yeah, that was for me.
Treating the parent with respect. That one. That one.
Yeah.
So, I know as a community, we
It's
struggle
not
with
funny,
that
but
one so hard. We struggle with that one so
we
hard. We
do.
got movies about it,
Yes.
respect, right? And not really understanding the implications of that. If you are dad, huh? Say again?
We were operating in a hurt space. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, too low? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Let me turn my mic
You sound
on.
low.
All right, how's that?
Yes.
Better. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to not to turn it up so high to where you hear my background. But it's because we feel so disrespected, by the other parent. But again, this is what I'm talking about. You have to certain things you got to set aside. So self-assessment, self-evaluation is part of a healthy co-parenting environment. Okay. So you always have to be looking at self, but also master keeping the goal in mind. You have to master that. That's got to be over you. But I have to say, just in defense of all of us that didn't get it right, we didn't know what we didn't know.
Oh.
We didn't know what we didn't know.
No, we didn't.
Literally, by the time we have children, something that Les Brown told me, he said, son, sometimes in life, you're going to have to jump and grow your wings on the way down. So by the time we have children, we have already jumped. The leap has already been initiated. And we're trying to grow our wings. And some of us hit the ground before we can do that.
Oh, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's what it looks like in our community. So a lot of times we just didn't know what we didn't know. Because as Master Skywalker pointed out, this again, even the conception is circumstantial. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentional. That's not. You see white folks on TV all the time. They celebrate. No, we're pregnant. Blah. You bring up, I'm pregnant. That's always a sad day. Black community. It's like, oh, what we gonna do? We got to figure this out. We have an entirely different response to it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't intend to. So literally, we're leaping. The leap has already been initiated, and now we have to grow our wings. And when we don't, it's at the expense of the child, and also at the expense of the relationship between the two parents, because we're still trying to spread our wings. So really, the solution here, and this is what I'm also finding out because I coach several couples, with issues like this, them trying to stay together, or they're apart, they're trying to deal with how they're dealing with the children. But this is another thing that we got to go and get help. We got to make ourselves available to help others in this situation, to mediate, to give them direction, to take some of that brunt, because they don't have anybody but each other to talk to, and they don't talk to each other. They talk at each other. You see? So just knowing, so that agreement, just to go out and get that, go and get that assistance from somebody helps. A family counselor, family therapist, any of that who does family conflict resolution, which is also something I specialize in. So so this is it's important to do that. So just knowing and having the wisdom to go and get that help, that's part of that plays a great part in developing a healthy co-parenting environment, for the child. Because we know if we don't get it right, we turn in a menace loose onto society.
Facts.
I say
Keeping it business-like, I think, is a healthy approach. Is again, when you get the, so I know this one is a very tricky one, right? And it takes a significant level of maturity to sort of become real, genuine friends with your children's co-parent, right? but keeping it business-like and just not putting so much emotion into it, right? Like this is a personal experience, right? But it's really helpful and efficient when considering, for example, how to negotiate on certain values. Hey, I want my child to be baptized. Well, I want my child to be Christian. Okay. How are we gonna figure this out? Oh, hey, you know, we Democrat over here. Well, we Republican over here. Well, okay, how are we gonna figure this out? Well, hey, I want my son to go to this. Well, I want my son to go to this. All right. So learning how to negotiate now becomes an issue on the table. Figuring out your negotiation skills as you make that transaction on values. But ultimately, if you respect your partner, I think that's like the foundation right there, partner. If you respect your co-parent, I think you can take a somewhat business-like approach, but not where it's like you're callous, right? You're still human, you still have feelings, you still care, right? But you're not adding all the animosity. You're not being vindictive. You're not being vengeful. You're saying, hey, look, let's just figure out what this is. So I got things to do. Right? I need to move. Right. So I think keeping it business-like might be very helpful. And we say, oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, just for me, Brother Skywalker, can you elaborate a little bit more extensive on a business co-parenting model would be just for me, because I'm trying to differentiate what I see business as. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's not. I'm just trying to gain understanding for me.
Well, so it means that you're intentional and you're objective. And if you're intentional and objective about something, you don't necessarily have to be emotional. Of course, we talked about the role of emotions in our human experiences, right? But if you're in a co-parenting situation, you're trying to be objective. Hey, what is the goal here that we're trying to accomplish as it relates to our child, fulfilling the needs of our child, right? So you're more cognitive than you are emotional about your decision making, and you're assessing values. So one of the first things is understanding the values of the co-parent, and really having an interest in how they see things. And that part is hard. That's pretty much a prerequisite. But again, if you're doing business with somebody, you're going to be doing that anyways. An entrepreneur isn't just looking for the bottom line. And I'm saying an entrepreneur, okay, isn't just looking at the bottom line. Like, hey, we have a business relationship. Therefore, we have not only mutual interest as it relates to the profit, but also the values have to match up. What if I don't like your practices? What if your practices impact what I'm doing over here? So yeah, it's in our best interest collectively, getting that understanding. And again, it takes a certain level of maturity to arrive at that. It's not just, it can't just be me and not them, because they ain't playing the game properly. And so it helps you to maintain a certain kind of poise when dealing with them. And so you don't take it personal. Yeah, if they're doing these things, you're not taking it personal. You're saying, oh, okay, you're going through this. I understand that you're going through this, but we have a mission, and I want to keep you focused on the mission, because this mission is not only going to benefit our children, our child, it's also going to benefit you, because responding to a child in a healthy, appropriate manner is going to bring out the best in you as a parent. And I want you to be the best parent you can be. Right? That's business. That's why I say it's a business mindset to me, because there's mutual interest here, mutual self-interest. Me being a great parent is going to help you at being a great parent, which is going to help our children ultimately. Right? So being objective and not taking everything personal, and just saying, all right, I understand you're going through this. And that is a practice. It is a practice. You go slip up.
It's a process. It's a definite process. What you're saying is actually on point. However, there's a lot to consider to get to that point.
Mhm.
Number one, we got to talk about there's pre-existing emotional conditionings when it
Mhm.
comes to that. Unlike dealing with a business partner, there is no pre-existing emotional conditioning. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's why I was
now,
stuck at.
so yeah, so automatically when you encounter this person, even if you don't think about what has happened, but there's something that wells up in you in regard to if you got hurt by this person. This person comes around, all of a sudden your breath just gets short, and you just like, and you try to keep it together, you know. So the point when you say you mentioned the word mature, it's a
Mhm.
maturation process.
Mhm.
You have to mature into it. The maturity is not sidestepping the responsibility of dealing with whatever got you in this situation in the first place. Both people have to deal with that. So even there needs to be an exit counseling session or
Mm.
something to allow you to deal and reconcile whatever that hurt is. So you don't carry on because that's baggage. That
Mhm.
baggage is heavy and it's going to show up and it's going to weigh itself. It's going to weigh you down every time you see this person if you don't deal with it, you know. So it's really hard just to come and say, look, I'm just doing it, because everything you do is going to be spiteful, even if
Mhm.
if it looks like you're going to be objective, but it's just going to be spiteful. You're going to like you won't even say hi. You just where's the stuff, okay, let me get her stuff, all right, or whatever. It's just so short, but we still cannot, from a divine standpoint, you fail the mission. If when you get to that point, you fail the mission. The mission is, how do you, despite all of the challenges you've had with this person, how do you still show the highest amount of love to this person? How do you still show a level of respect like you would show to a king or queen to this person? How do you still do that? How do you still consider and keep their health and well-being in mind, even though you've gone through what you've gone through? If you have not been able to do that, then from a divine standpoint, you have failed the mission. So in order to do that, you've got to go deal with the hurt. You got to go deal with what has happened, deal with your feelings, deal with the actions. That's where the maturation process comes from. And then you can start to, deal with each other according to. I had to do this also with my ex-wife. I'm not saying that we just divorced and then everything was hunky-dory the very next day. It
Right.
wasn't. It
No.
wasn't. Okay, it wasn't. We literally had to mature into that. But one thing, when our relationship ended, when the marriage ended, we still acknowledged that love was still there. So we got out of the
Mhm.
relationship. We didn't leave. We actually said, we gave each other 2 weeks. We said, let's take 2 weeks to really see if this marriage is something that we want to dissolve or if it's something we want to fight for. After that 2 weeks was up, we had decided it's not something we wanted to keep. So it was a mutual split, but still there was a lot of hurt. There was still a lot of hurt going on. All right. So we still have to deal with that. It took months, but we dealt with it and finally came around. And now today we co-parent. All I can say is I wish this upon everybody, because that she knows I'm here for her. Even me and my current queen is like a sister to her,
Mm.
So she's part of the process too. So that's big on her part. So
Good.
yeah, look, they got conversations and stuff going on that I ain't got nothing to do with. You see what I'm saying? They got a sisterhood going on. So this is how you've done, and she knows I still love and care about my ex-wife. That does not in no way intimidate her, because she has learned to do the same,
Mhm.
and they love and care about each other. You see? So this is what I'm talking about, what it needs. But look, I had to come off a lot of stuff too. I had to come off a lot of stuff in order to get to this place. So we can't sidestep that responsibility. We can't do it, and then we'll get to the place where Master Skywalker was mentioning. So thank you for mentioning that, brother. Good point.
Mm. Go Skywalker. 'Cause I did it not. What?
I thought.
Huh? What?
Okay, never mind. Go.
Okay.
The,
'Cause I was like,
wait a minute.
Wait.
I just said go Skywalker.
Yeah. I was like, what? Go like it. Go. Okay, go.
No, not right now. Not right now. I know what Skywalker was talking about.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah. Not that right now.
Not
No,
right
we're not
now,
there
not
yet.
right now.
We're not there yet right now. And what's up, Corey Dunn?
Oh,
He said he been MIA. Thank
What's
you for
going
the
on,
invite
Corey?
Peace, Corey. Peace.
From God, do the
Peace,
work
Jeremy.
without soon return soon. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you good, sis. Oh, I'm sorry, God level. Peace, Jay. Want to thank you for posing the idea of us starting our Facebook page, and we really do appreciate that idea being passed to us, my brother. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And it
That's
has
it.
been created. It's called Things
Yeah,
People
it's.
Don't Want to Talk About. So yeah. Did anyone send him an invite?
I think I did already. I'll do it again. Master Skywalker and Brother Diamond. Um, you both are laying some serious cinder blocks. I was gonna say bricks, but cinder blocks.
Deanna. Go ahead.
Um, and I appreciate. I do see definitely where you're saying about handling your business. And as you were saying that, and after you finished, then Sabadame alluded to sometimes because you never know that you are hurt and you are hurting, and also you're bringing feelings to the forefront versus logical thinking. You're thinking from a feeling perspective, so it kind of alters your decision choices and execution on the business side of things that actually creates the space, that beautiful space to co-parent and to even allow yourself to be a better parent, like you were saying. Well put, Master Skywalker. That is very important. Like I say, I'm still a student every day. I have no problem saying that. I know the error of some of my decision making in the past. I'm gonna say it again publicly. I'm still of service, and I'm gonna continue to build in the facet that I'm building in. And I know, just as well as I needed my father, I know that my children need me. Um, and well, no, I ain't gonna allude to the other thing, but that's important. That's really important. It's not a facade. It's not a thing for popularity. You do have a lot of men out here that want to be a part of their children's lives, that want to participate, that want to be involved, that want to actually um, help. Like seriously, want to help, but you can't subject him to know 100% of what needs to be done or what he should be doing because he's not thinking on the same level as you. So when you formulate an idea or a thought process, or it's something that you want to do or you want to create, if you don't communicate that or relay that, how is it that he's supposed to know? Just because you're able to raise one child or support one child, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can do the same for the other, because you still got to understand we're raising separate individuals. So there is no true blueprint to this. That's why Sabadaman said, seek counsel. Counsel is either supposed to come within the family, within the families, to help you court this whole situation, to mediate this whole situation of being co-parents or being solid parents, or let's just throw this idea: married couple starting with that particular foundation to actually raise this child properly so they can have the mom and the father, so I just want to say I appreciate both of you brothers big time.
Oh, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Wow.
It's yeah, and we've had many of our talks behind closed doors when I've called on both of you men, and again I'm just saying appreciate you, because no matter what one thinks of the other parent or that parent thinks of the other parent, you still can't do it all by yourself. Even when you might have other male figures, other female figures in the children's lives, it's nothing like having your mother and your father, because you will get to a point that you will ask the question, do my mama love me? Do my daddy love me? Do they care about me? Why they ain't this? Why they ain't that? And as a child, you don't know all the intricate misunderstandings that's taking place to keep these two entities separate from coming together to be there for that child. You don't know that. You don't know that daddy got jumped by the brothers because the mama played victim. You don't know these particular things. You don't know that daddy used to beat mama. You don't know none of this as a child. But you caught in the crossfire of this war that shouldn't even be going on in the first place, man. And sometimes it be something simple like Master Skywalker spoke on, Brother Diamond spoke on as well. Communication, man. We got to find a way to come to a common ground, to sit in front of each other and talk, and not try to belittle the other or feel that, hey, I'm great and all knowing. You don't know nothing. And, you're trying to belittle them and degrade them and all these slick remarks and everything. And again, Sabadam has said it. It don't happen overnight. It don't happen in one visit. It takes work. You got to be willing to put in the work. I'm still a service. I'm still learning. I'm growing, and I ain't running from nothing. So,
I say.
That's beautiful. My ex-husband just accepted my friend request on Facebook. Wow.
Peace to that.
We are in a good space. We really are. We are in a good space. Wow.
I'm going to assume that Master Skywalker, that question. Never mind.
This is from the post. From
that is from the video.
Yes.
Yeah. Women in a relationship can still be single moms. Yeah, if the man is not helping.
Oh, true or false? True or false?
True. Yeah.
True. Now, I had one respondent on my Instagram page reply to it and say no. And that was a she, not a he.
Okay. What did she say?
She said no, she didn't, but she didn't explain her answer. She just said false. No.
If the woman is required to do everything and the man is not helping out, if he feels like all he has to do is go to work and come home and that's it.
Tread softly, sis. Tread softly.
So here's my problem. Here's my problem with the question, and this is really just my only problem. It's the semantics in the terms that are being used. That is my only problem here. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean single mom? Because if you're in a relationship, it shouldn't be nothing single about you.
Nothing.
Unless, and this is where we're making some assumptions. Unless the relationship is dead or it's dying.
That part.
That's my only. But again, from all the women that have spoken to me about it, they say, John, this is the situation. You are in a marriage and you're bearing the full burden of parenting. So yeah, you have to do all the sexual favors for the husband. You have to cook, clean, go to work, and take care of the kids. You are basically a single mom, and so it's like, all right, I get what you're saying, right? But it doesn't remove you. It doesn't remove your status, though. So I get single mom in terms of single parent, but you ain't single. So that's why I say I don't like the terminology here. But
Yeah.
I understand what's being said.
Now, yeah, I wouldn't put that word there to compensate for an out of balance relationship. You know what you don't just get to throw words around and define it just to make yourself look taller than you are.
Go.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You are in a dysfunctional relationship. Let's call it what it is. And you have not become who you need to become to deal with it. That's what that is. Now, if you think about the reasons why there may be an imbalance in the shared duties of the parent, that's something you got to work out. How's your communication skills? Have you communicated what you needed? Have you communicated that you're tired or what have you done that?
Right.
You know? So don't put it on that's the same thing as a woman claiming that she's a father on Father's Day. Don't do that. What have you done to put yourself in that situation? I've seen men in the same situation to where they've taken on all the responsibilities of the child, and the mother has not, is just kind of there. But the men don't complain. They do what they do. The men don't complain. I never hear it because we only hear this from one side. We always hear the stuff from women. But there's just as many men that are literally doing the full duties of the children without the aid of the mother. There's just as many. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yes. And they're not looking for attention. They just doing the work.
To just do the work and move through it.
Just do the work. That is so true.
Yeah.
So
dang.
There's if you're in a relationship, you are not a single mom. Okay, you're not a single mom. So let's get that straight. Okay.
I just got checked and corrected.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I just saw that there were 2 replies now. So one would say, I would have to agree. There are 2-parent households where the mother is solely responsible for the child rearing. Maybe the father intervenes when it comes to discipline, but almost everything is on the mom. There are fathers who don't go to their kids' sporting events, doctor's appointments, school functionings, or meetings. So I do agree with that statement. Another one just came in, but I guarantee in those households, the father is 100% responsible for financial chores. Stop playing a single. Stop playing. Yeah, stop playing single. You can't be single. Nothing. If you ain't single.
That's right. That's right.
Even if you remove the financial responsibility, right? Let's say you remove the financial responsibility from this equation. Let's say you're just living off the God green earth. What then would you say would be the role of a woman in set relationship raising a child? And what would be the man's role in a relationship when it comes to raising a child? I'm curious.
Yeah, well, we could talk about what that is typically, but it doesn't mean that that's what it is actually. You see, because it literally differs. There's some men that are geared more towards the rearing of children than their counterpart. And there's some women who are geared towards going out there and being a provider and stuff like that. I've seen these all situations. And guess what? These are healthy relationships. These are very healthy relationships. So I just think the thing is that you have to know you and what situation you're in, and are you doing what you can do?
Bars.
I'm gonna have to bring up a conversation that me and Diamond had when it comes to relationships. Can I share this? Because this is what I said. Ooh, we talked about the difference between polygamy and am I polyamory? Am I pronouncing that
Polyamory.
Polyamory.
polyamory? And he explained to me the difference between the two. And if I had a choice, I would probably be in a polygamy relationship because I can't
Polygamy
be
or polyamory?
polygamy because I can't be everything to one man. I
Mhm.
was told that I am more career oriented versus family oriented or family whatever, and I will put in long hours at work. And you definitely will want to have a woman at home that's the homemaker, that's more domesticated, that's gonna cook and clean and take care of the children. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. If I had a choice, it. Yeah, so in a relationship, you would have to know yourself, and I know my
Yeah.
limits. I know my limits. I can't be everything to a man, and I'm not.
And I've heard it from several
I
different women.
can't. And at this age and at this point in my life, I would never even try. I'm not gonna do it. I'm sorry. We'll talk about it later.
Oh no. I understand the dynamic.
Mhm.
I mean, as we grow wiser, I'm not gonna say older. As we grow wiser, and we come to great understanding, for the lack of information we had prior to, we tend to understand that information is ongoing.
Mhm.
Period. You can continue to build on. So with you saying what you're saying, I totally understand it. But
Mm-hmm.
do the community understand it? Because
But
we look at polygamy and polyamory, um, sex, because that's
and
what
it's
right
not.
Yeah.
is
It's
being.
more of the family structure, building
Yeah,
the family, taking
Exactly.
care of the family, and honestly, people are in polygamy relationships and just don't even know it. When you have a man that's dealing with several women, sounds like common sense to me. Lord have mercy. When you have a man that's dealing with several women, y'all are both all of y'all are sharing. Y'all just don't know y'all are sharing.
Well, see, but that's what makes it not polygamy, because in
Yeah,
polygamy you do know, and there's the main wife, and then she's actually responsible for choosing the others. He's
she
not. He doesn't choose.
is.
That's right. She
yeah.
choose the other ones, not
She
him.
chooses the other, not him.
That's
And
right.
if he does
She,
bring some, yeah, it has
yeah.
to
If
have
she
her
don't
stamp
accept it,
of
it can't
approval.
be.
Yeah, she's
That's right.
like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. There is
Yeah.
the main wife, and then there's the second wife. Yeah, the main wife will
Mm-hmm.
always be in control of the other wives. Yeah, or
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature.
I want to throw something out here, just to jump back to
Yeah,
raising children.
he just
Um,
sorry.
if Master Skywalker or Sabbath Ahmed was able to formulate a question that would ask women in particular, God level, please feel free to answer this.
All
Um,
right, all
if
right.
we could formulate a question
Mhm.
on our Facebook page, if a woman was standing with her children and I don't know, a mob of angry men was heading her way, and she had to pick between a woman and a man to fight for her, who would she pick?
Of course, she's gonna pick the man.
Why would you say that?
Ooh. The woman is another female. No, she's going to pick the man because she's going to view him as being stronger.
So why wouldn't you have him in the
That
home
aggressive.
front? So why wouldn't you have
Because
him
she
in the home
probably
front?
never had a man in the home front. You have to remember, we are all a lot of us. I don't say all, but a lot of us come from broken families. We haven't been raised up in a two parent family home. where the man and the woman was present? And if they was it a loving relationship that they were showing us?
So let me
Depending
point
on your
out.
location of where you were living, if you grew up in the ghetto like I did, you rarely even seen that.
Point taken.
Okay.
But let's point out. Let's
Okay.
point out. Let's point out how quick you respond. A man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 90% of women will say a man, and they come from broken homes.
These are women who are refusing to acknowledge that a man is needed in the home.
But like you just said, these are women that were raised without a man in the home.
In the home. Not to mention there's no not to mention there might be some sort of abuse that may have taken place. And I gotta go answer
You,
this phone. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm
But the
sorry.
point I'm making is that most women will say a man,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the way they was raised. Instantly, they will say a man. They want a man to protect them. They want a man to protect them. And it's facts. I'm not
Mhm.
saying there's no strong women out here, strong minded women that maybe have some type of tactical background or
Yeah.
maybe even had a little pistol play in the streets. I'm never not saying that. But naturally, just saying naturally, you would pick a
Mhm.
man over a woman to fight a battle and even look for him to put his life on the line for you. Period.
Yeah. But that's the equivalent of saying that, if you had to choose a weapon when you go into this fight, would you choose a knife or a gun?
Thank
Right.
You know?
you.
Equalizer.
Yeah.
Equalizer.
So
I think you missed
yeah.
this. You missed this.
I, I
Hmm.
missed the I'll head answer the phone. Go ahead. Break it down.
No,
No, break it
no,
down.
no. What Brother Diamond was saying, just like you just quickly said, common sense. I was pointing out that no matter the upbringing, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna look for a man to be the common denominator, the equalizer, instantly over a woman, no matter what.
Instantly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So so
Why
yeah.
won't
So
women
that's
without
that's the
being in
things.
the home?
Hmm.
That part. That part. At the end of the day, why not have that man that's the father of that child in the home?
Right. The same reason why many lionesses, have always seek to be a part of a den of other lionesses and a lion. One lion who protects the den itself. And this is
Singular.
why they choose to go out and do the hunting, because he's so strong and they want to make sure they leave the strongest with the kids to protect the kids.
Facts.
That's why the male lion don't go out to hunt, because he stays behind to protect the kids. And they go out to and they strong enough to go out and get but then when he comes, of course they let him eat first and so forth. That's just natural instinct, you know. Um so there's a reason why that we have higher metabolic rates. We have a propensity to gain more muscle. Our sex hormone is testosterone, which gives us the strength, speed, and everything else. It's because we are naturally built to be the protector,
Mm-hmm.
naturally built. And I don't care how many ball caps a woman put on and baggy shorts, and even no matter how tight she duct tape her breasts down and so forth, she'll never get that. Okay, that she'll never become that. Only because of that, we are naturally built by natural selection. We are the ones, natural born men are the ones that have the strength. And that's why I say, well, that's a whole nother subject. But the thing is that yes, this is the duty of a man in the household, is to first protect. Is to first protect. And so even in modern times, now that women are sharing the provider part, but still nobody can share that level of protection with the man, because the man is the sole protector of the home. You know, he can communicate with the woman and say, you know, this is what I need you to do. And so even his instruction is for protection. He's protecting the family, you know. So yeah, so I agree with you. It's necessary, but there is nothing that soothes the beast in a man like a woman. Okay, nothing that soothes his beast like a woman, which is why we need each other. Period. Because I can't be walking around beastly all the time. Can't do that. That'll give you cancer. It really will. It really will. So
yeah.
all right.
And please note that's just some women. That is just some women. Not all women feel that way. Some of us actually want men in the homes. So
of course, we know part of the conundrum, and we've touched on this subject before.
We have.
You know, the quality of men that are out there, the quality of men that are out here.
Quality.
What does the culture produce? What does the culture produce?
What are we producing? Yeah.
There's a market. There's a demand for Black love, married couples, right? But what is the culture producing to meet that demand?
Facts.
Yes.
The babies need us both.
That's right.
Period.
That's right.
Yeah. Period. At the end of the day. Yeah.
At the end of the day.
And
I want to say to everybody that's listening here and who are part of our
listening
group in the
audience,
comments, and just remember, if you like the topics we talk about and everything, please invite people to watch. When you come in, make sure you hit like, give us a reaction and things like that. So we know you're there, but it also helps us also grow in the capacity of what we can do. All right. So all of this is helping us out. So your likes, your shares, your referrals, all that stuff, your comments, and get engaged and give us more ideas of what it is that you want to hear. What do you want to hear us talk about? Got to be those things that people don't want to talk about. What do you think that is? All right. So make sure that you inform us on that, and we'll formulate it. We'll get it going for you, because we all dealing with the same topics, right? We all dealing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
What you God level? I think you
child support. That's where we're moving into, child support. After co-parenting, child support. I seen a video of a lady who refused to get up and go to work, but every time her ex-husband would get a raise, she would take him right back to court to snatch half of it. And the judge wanted to know, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm raising my son. Do you work? She was like, no. She lived with her mother.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. We're going to talk about child support. I think we should. Now that or unless you want to do a part 2 of co-parenting in
and that could be called subtitle, supporting the child, because I don't want to just make it sound like the court version of child support.
The child gets the short end of the stick. It's when caught between two parents are still operating out of pain and not out of love. We messed up with the first two. I can admit that with my oldest two. With my third one, we seem to have it. We're moving in a different direction than we were with. Yeah.
Sounds like growth and development to me.
Man,
sound like you got to not just grow your wings, but you spread them.
Flap.
That's right. Excellent.
That's beautiful, sis. That's beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy for this man. He is doing absolutely well. I'm serious. He is doing absolutely well. Um, so yeah, I hope that the relationships between him and his older two, I want that to grow.
It
I
sounds like both of y'all have high bearing fruit now.
It's right.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call him one of these days and just sit down and talk with him. See, yeah, he's doing absolutely well. I'm proud of him.
I say.
Yeah. All right, we're coming up on 2 hours. It's always so good. We didn't get any calls tonight, but I want to thank everyone for stopping in and jumping in on tonight's live. Thank you for all the comments. We didn't get any calls. You probably just sat back and just watched and learned something. I'm sure we all did. I know I've taken away something from this. We really appreciate you all's support. Please feel free to check out our new page, things that people don't want to talk about. If you get an invite or just join, please keep all of your posts related to the topic or something positive. I just had to delete something that just didn't go well with what we are doing. This is a positive form for people who are just looking for knowledge on evolving.
Mhm.
So let's keep it at that.
Then also, just to add to what God Level is saying, this is a safe place to talk about issues related to our community as a whole. Sabada Amen, Master John Skywalker, continue to allude to within any time they speak. It takes a community to raise a community. So
That's right.
we gotta unite. We gotta come together. That's critical and that's key. And the moment we realize, thank you, John Skywalker. The moment we realize to show mutual respect to another adult and handle our business, we can change situations. Um, one maturing moment at a time.
Gosh, shit.
Yeah, not me. I have been bombed at work. I'm at full capacity right now, so I haven't really had time to sit down and
We're closing.
finish. I know we're closing. I'm. This is regarding his question. He said, "Who's spitting tonight?" What about you, brother? What you got?
I've been spitting all night.
No.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
go because I won't be here next week.
All right.
So
Well, go ahead.
I'll just do a little short something. It's not the one I was going to do next week, but I'll do
Let
a
me
little short
mute.
something.
This sounds like this is gonna be good.
Yeah, it's always good.
All right, I'll just give you the part one of my first one. This is my signature piece, the first one I've ever written. I call it Funky Town. As I step on the scene and I'm steady maxing, then I call up my boys because I'm looking for some action. We need to kick it like we used to. Back in the days when we were known as a crazy crew. It's good to reminisce on the old days when we used to kick it with the G's and the homies. I would go back there if I could. This is for the people that's still rolling around in the hood. With the rise of the sun begin a new day like everywhere else. A city in Texas where everyone tries to make a name for themselves. Throughout the day, we flirt with the night's fun, making trips to the car wash, barbershops, and beauty salons. I called to my baby's mama to make a threat, but she knows I wouldn't hit her. Hell, I was calling to make sure nobody spent the night with her. But courtship with the night continues as we cruise to the park. And there we would remain until it almost got dark. Then with the night came the city lights that invites me to a good time, and at the drop of a dime, she's mine. Is she a hoe? I don't know. That's none of my concern. I'm a baller, so I got money to burn. Guaranteed not to receive a threat, and my crew would make sure of that. But there's always one fool who thinks he's the shit. Well, one false move, the reaper of the night will prove that he wasn't it. So he chose to be the casualty. Well, that's good because he took the heat off of me. So to him, I tip my hat because he went out like a soldier. But ain't no playing around in Funky Town. I thought I told you. A block away, there was another case. Some so-called gangster got charged with rape. Now that shit, we ain't with. So it's time to turn it in, me and my clique. But in Funky Town, image is everything. So to keep our names clean, we fled the scene. The next morning was laced with news of the previous night. It was stories of who got killed and who got into a fight. And it's funny how the elements of one night can take you off the deep end. And what's funny about that is it's not even a weekend. So by Friday, you better be prepared for what might go down in the ruthless, relentless, unforgiving concrete jungle of Funky Town. Because this is for my players in the hood. Up to no good. Let's kick it like we really should. It's just an ordinary day. Hetepu, peace.
Peace. All right.
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
I say.
We will see y'all back here next week.